Hi, thanks for joining our next bite-sized health video on avoiding the risks of spreading COVID. So you may have heard about these 3 Ws, which scientists and public health experts recommend for us to wear masks that fit snugly and cover our mouth and nose, that we wait 6 feet apart from other people, and that we wash our hands often and use hand sanitizer, especially before we touch our face. So these 3 things go such a long way in keeping everybody healthy. If you've been doing this, thank you. It's made a huge impact. And there are some other things we can also be doing in addition to these to help keep everybody safe, especially as the virus is spreading even more in the winter. But before we talk about that, let's go ahead and just look at the virus itself, this pesky little thing that has, wreaked havoc on all of our lives. So this is an image of a lot of really small things that are blown up. So if you look at the third thing from the bottom here, this red little dot is a coronavirus. And a coronavirus is anywhere from 0.1 to 0.5 microns. A micron is just something we use to measure really small things like a grain of salt or some beach sand, or a human hair, which is 50 to 180 microns wide. So that means if we were to line up small coronaviruses, about 1,800 of them could fit across a wide piece of hair. Now you have a very fun fact to impress somebody with. I don't know. All right, so how can this tiny little virus make us sick? Well, one important thing to keep in mind is that COVID is a respiratory disease, which means it infects our lungs. So when we think about how people get sick and how to keep people healthy, we want to be thinking about the air that we breathe and how to reduce the amount of air that we share with each other. We don't want to share the air. So, and it's also important to remember that one virus is not enough to make us sick. Scientists are still trying to figure out how many viruses it takes to make one person sick, how many viruses they need to breathe in before their immune systems can't fight it off anymore. Some experts think it could be as little as about 1,000, which, if you remember, is about the amount that fits across your hair. So really not a whole lot. There are certain things we should be aware of that put more virus into the air. So one of those things is coughing. If I cough, I'm giving off about 3,000 droplets, which have viruses inside of them. So if somebody breathes in my cough, not only is that gross, but that's also probably enough to infect them if they're right next to me just breathing it all in. But if we're both masked and across the room from each other, it's a lot less likely that my one cough would give off enough virus that they're breathing in for them to become sick. Sneezing, if you're infected, is more powerful, gives off more virus a further distance. If we yell, that's giving off more air and more virus particles. Even singing, unfortunately, Buddy the Elf would be so disappointed to know that singing is really risky this year in public. And even talking gives off more virus than just breathing, especially breathing through your nose, which is the safer way to breathe, actually. So certain things make it easier for the virus to spread, and those things are spending a long amount of time with an infected person who probably doesn't know that they're infected. So the more time that we're spending, the more virus can build up in the air, especially if you're inside, especially if you don't have a great ventilation system specifically designed for that. We want to avoid crowds. The more people, the more likely it is that somebody's sick without realizing it. And indoor activities are a lot more risky than outdoor activities because outside the wind mixes around the air for us, gives us fresh air all the time. So in addition to the 3 Ws of wearing a mask, waiting 6 feet apart, and washing our hands, I want to wish everyone staying safe. So SAFE stands for a shorter time frame, good airflow. We want to mix the outdoor air with the indoor air as much as possible, fewer people, and eliminating yelling and singing, which is unfortunate as we approach Christmas time. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video coming up here shortly. Thanks.